Howdy everyone. In the previous video, we were able to successfully fetch our data from our Contentful CMS backend. But as you can see here, we are getting this error from React telling us that we are not passing the key prop to the list, and also the title of our jobs are not being displayed, even though if you look at the card here, we are trying to display the title definitely, and the listing. In the list, we are passing the key props. Why is that? It's because the way the data coming from Contentful is very Contentful centric, meaning that our fields, the fields that we need, are split across three subfields: the fields subfield, the metadata subfield, and the sys subfield, right? So in the sys, that's where we find the ID that we need to get rid of this error. The metadata, that's where we have like the tags. We're going to come back to that later. And in the fields, that's where we have the bulk of our data. So one way to fix this could be to just go in the code and come here and say sys, okay? That will get rid of the issue. Okay, as you can see, it's gone. And if we come here and we put keys, keys, okay, and we refresh here, keys, oh sorry, it's not keys, fields, okay, we refresh. All right, you see it's gone, right? But what's the problem with this? And I'm sure if you've been following along, you definitely know where I'm going with this. This is a very Contentful centric. Now our components are bound, are kind of aware of the fact that we are using Contentful as a CMS. We don't want that, right? We want our components to be CMS agnostic. We want them to render the data successfully, regardless of the CMS that we are using under the hood, right? So we're going to revert these latest changes, okay, and deal with this issue in a different manner. And the way we're going to do it, if you see, if I remove them, we go back to square one where we had those issues, but let's solve them in a different way. The way we're going to do that is by adding a file called util, and it's just going to be a couple of code where instead of returning, as you can see here at the moment, when we're returning data from our data layer, we are basically returning the raw data as they're coming out of Contentful. We don't want that. We want to add a bit of cleaning to clean a bit the data before passing them down to our display layer, and that's what we're going to do in this video. So the first thing we want to do here is to create the file that I'm going to a function that I'm going to call let's call it job reducer. Okay, it's a fancy name for just saying that we're going to clean the job in this function. Okay, we get as parameter the raw job, okay, and we do some cleaning. Okay, so let job, okay, and you remember the bulk of our data are in this subfield called fields. Okay, so we get that, and then the other thing that we need definitely is the ID, and we get that from sys ID. The other thing that is interesting is job.local raw job.sys.local. okay, all right, and you remember here at the moment we're having this workaround where we are trying to avoid the secular dependency that we have here, related jobs, right? And if we don't have that here also, we're going to have that bug. We're going to deal with that separately. So now we can return job. Okay, all right, let's see, let's consume that function here. Let's import that job reducer. Very good. Okay, and now instead of returning also, let's try to have things a bit cleaner here. So let's get result and const jobs equals to res.items. Okay, now what we do is very simple. jobs dot then jobs, and instead of returning this, you're going to simply return the job dot reducer and then job. We can even call this raw jobs. Okay, jobs, right? Let me place all of this here. Raw job, doesn't really matter, but it's just to make sure that we are on the same line. Okay, so what we're going to do here now is const jobs, call these jobs, and then we're going to return jobs here. Okay, I think now if we go to the front end and we look at what's going on, you're going to see that everything is fixed. Voila, right? So now we don't have that React error. And as you can see here, the payload that we get is a lot cleaner than what we had earlier, right? So now it's it's completely unaware that we're using Contentful on the cover. And once we are going to create the tutorials for other CMS like Strappy and Sanity, we're going to be just switching the data layer, and everything is going to remain the same, right? So still, we definitely want to have our related jobs just fetched as well successfully, and not just this empty array. So how can we deal with that, right? So that's what we're going to do now. Here, as you can see, if we go back to our util function, at the moment we just have this workaround. We just put an empty array. But how about passing in a function, pass related jobs, and we have it by default to true. Okay, and that function job is basically what we want to do is we want to make sure that if that parameter is let's say false, okay, pass related jobs is false, then yeah, we want to do exactly what we're doing already here. Otherwise, what we want to do else, okay, we want to actually pass it. And how can we pass this? Okay, let's first retrieve those. Where can we find the related jobs? All right, it's get related jobs. You can get it either from raw jobs, let fields, but related jobs. Okay, and we can now loop over them here in this function and save the result in related jobs equals related jobs dot map. Okay, gonna map over them, and then related job, right? And what we want to do is job reducers. We're going to pass in the related job, and we're going to pass it false. So what's going on here? Very simple, right? So when we are at the root level, so basically when we are iterating over an actual job, this is going to be true, right? So we're going to be passing the related jobs of that specific job. Now, for each of those related jobs, we don't want to fetch the related jobs of related jobs. That's why we pass in false here. So when it's going to enter the recursive function a second time, it's not going to try to pass them again, therefore breaking the circular dependency. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. But I suspect this is going to fail because if we refresh here, we're going to have an error. And why is this? It's because, remember, in our Contentful, if I go to the content model, okay, I look at job, this is not a required field, right? This is not a required field, you see. So this can definitely be null or undefined depending on how we fetch them from Contentful, and that's definitely what's happening for one of these data for which we have no, I think it's this one. I don't think we have any related job. You see, it's completely empty. So that's why it's complaining here. It's saying that we have undefined, right? One of them is undefined. When we are looping over them like this for this particular job, it's the undefined value. So how can we deal with that? Well, it's very simple. We can say, or in the case where we are not getting anything, we just get the empty array. Okay. So in the case where this is undefined, we want to put the empty array here, okay, and this is going to solve the problem. So if we go back and we refresh here, you're going to see the issue is gone. Actually not. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what we are doing wrong. Okay, Let's see. Interesting. JSON jobs, related jobs, return JSON. I think I'm not returning something here. Oh yeah, here. I need to be doing the return statement here. This should be gone, right? It should be completely gone. Very, very good. Now we have everything dealt with successfully. Then the final thing that I want to do, if you look at the date here, it's not exactly user friendly, is it? You don't want to be displaying data like this in your front end. So let's try to have a sub reducer that's going to be, which goal is going to be to parse the date posted. And for that, we're going to use an npm package called datetime, which I really love for parsing datetime objects. So I've installed that. Okay, now I'm gonna go to our util. I'm gonna import it. Okay, let's import that. Import date from datetime. Very good. Okay, and then we're gonna create a reducer, which goal is simply to reduce to reduce dates, right? So date reducer. Okay, date reducer equals, gonna get the date as a string. Okay, and we're gonna return const date object. We're gonna first get the object date.parse, and the documentation for this you can find it on the npm or the GitHub repo for this. So as you can see here, the date that we're getting is basically we are interested in this, the first chunk here prior to the capital T. Okay, so I'm gonna split based on that T. Okay, and I'm gonna get the first chunk, and what's the format for that is year, 4 characters, and then hyphen, 2 characters for the month, 2 characters for the date. Okay, and this gives us the date object, right? So if I even log that date object, date object, very good. And what you want to do is return date object dot parse to date string. Voila, this is what you want to return, and we're going to use this here like this, job dot date posted. I think it's the name of the field, right? Date posted, yes. Date posted equals to date reducer job date posted, right? You can just copy like this and it should be fine. Or to keep things consistent, let's say raw job date fields. Either way, it's gonna work. Okay, let's refresh this. Very good. Let's see what you're getting. You see, very, very beautiful. Now it's something that we can display on the front end, and it's going to be nice. It's a nice date. It gives us a nicely something that we can display nicely on the front end. And with that, we have reached the end of this part 2 for displaying the date lists, the job lists, and I see you in the next video. Thank you.